Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So guys, coming up on Monday, Max Blumenthal is going to be on the show. As far as I know, he said he was going to be on the show. Him and I have been hitting each other back on Twitter for the past few days. And he hit me back, so that's badass. I like his work a lot. So he's going to be on the show on Monday. It's 4:26. It's early in the morning. Let me check my volume before I plow into this. Slightly disappointed. I had at the shop the other day, there were edibles, and I was hoping that, I never know, it's like you never know your tolerance for the edible. You don't want to do too much because you don't want to die. I know, not die, but in that moment you feel like you're going to die. And if you do too little, it's pointless. So it becomes like, what's the amount to get the right dose? My wife, whenever, she messes around, she doesn't really, so her tolerance, she doesn't really have one. In my case, mine is extreme just from previous medical stuff. Nothing. I didn't feel anything. Like, bastard. It's like $40. All right, so let's go into the story. I've had this weird, not great distinction of looking at murder films, like real life. Max Blumenthal, the person who's going to be on the show tomorrow, ideally, fingers crossed. My words to whatever God is out their ears. He wrote a story for Alternate, him and Ben Norton. And another video of, essentially, there's another video that's been released with the white helmets assisting in a public execution. The video is a little jarring, almost in its normality, if that makes sense. It's so bizarre. From the amount of stuff that we watch from movies and everything else, with all the killings and all this other stuff, we have this, it's like you have this idea in your head of what it looks like. And then when you see it, it seems, it's jarring, but it's not jarring in a, it's hard to explain. But the video is there for anybody to watch. I don't know if I can play it on this, but essentially, public execution, and the white helmets jog in, pick up the body, jog away. This is not the first one that has taken place. There's been other videos that's been released with either the white helmets assisting or seemingly celebrating with either ISIS or the people who they're in. Not to mention, they only seem to operate in rebel-held territories. These guys get a ton of money. They get a ton of money. The mainstream media pays no mind to this. And even when the white helmets are questioned about it, for the most part, they give some BS answer concerning the reason why their people were involved in essentially a public execution. So this is Alternate. I'm going to read part of this because, I mean, the article is the article. There's not much there's no spin that needs to be put on it. There's no narrative associated with it beyond the narrative of the article. And I think I may show the video just so you can see what I mean. It's cringy and creepy, and I look at this and I think, God, why do we have to live like this? Because I don't look at them as separate from me, if that makes sense. I look at them as being human beings. Human beings in stretched in weird, obtuse ways, but human beings nonetheless, behaving extremely poorly. But I don't necessarily think they're behaving poorly just for shits and giggles. I would imagine that the situation to which they've been living in and growing in and been festering in that particular part of the world, based on the things that have been taking place in that part of the world, has to some degree led to where we are now. Human beings stretched in weird and obtuse ways, behaving this way. It's fucking horrible. Let's take a look at the article first, and we can go down it. Let's see. Let's start. Large corporations, media networks have yet to report on the dark side of the white helmets, however, and films like the widely celebrated Netflix feature function as uncritical commercials for the group, helping to keep the public in a state of ignorance about the domination of the Western-backed Syrian armed opposition by the extremist Salafi jihadist groups, and about the civil conflict in general. While CNN and other outlets will rely heavily on the footage taken by the White Helmet members, not one major Western outlet has reported on the latest execution video starring the group's uniformed members. The video, which Syrian opposition activists uploaded to Facebook groups, showed 3 men from the White Helmets rush into the center of the crowd mere seconds after the alleged criminal was shot in the head and removing the body on a stretcher. The members of the White Helmets can be seen celebrating along with the crowd of onlookers. And I don't know if they're going to allow this, but fuck it, let's try. And by the way, there's a warning. If there was going to be a warning, the warning will be inserted here. Squeamish, weak of heart, weak of mind, not necessarily into the particular violence, not necessarily feeling a particular way about it. Whatever your reason is, there is no harm, no foul. You can walk away here. It's not as vulgar, even though it's like it's vulgar just from the fact that it's taken place. But the look of it, we've become so accustomed to this that this comes across as almost insignificant, I guess, in a way that it comes across. Like it seems so normalized. It's hard to get it across. There's a crime that's taking place here. Now, they're going through some kind of judgment, and this is implementing a public execution of somebody, and the White Helmets is going to come in and take the body out. But the part of saying squeamish, I'm talking about the event itself that's stripping and ripping the life away from the person. Not everybody wants to see it, so I'm giving you a chance to cut off now.
بحكي معك ورا يا اخي خلاص صلوا على النبي خلاص شو قال ارجع عبد الله ارجع لي ورا شوي ورا شوي ورا يا شباب
They're supposedly on our team. That's amazing. You know, the group thing by itself, man, that's a fucked up video. And apparently there are more videos. It's not just that one. Blumenthal and Norton go through multiple cases of them involved in public executions. That's brutal to watch. I have to believe that in a different situation, and I think to myself, what situation creates a human being like that? He wasn't born that way. The guy that was holding a gun, nor was a guy on his knees, nor all the people that were celebrating, screaming, whatever the fuck they were screaming, as they took the life from somebody else. They were not born that way. They were made that way. One experienced it after the next. For the moment, rip yourself away from what you just saw and think about what's taking place in the United States. Because I kind of want to make the point that it's not because they're Arab, it's not because they're Muslims. It's purely because the situations on the ground that developed them for who they were. It's nothing to do with their religion, culture, none of that stuff. It is purely about what was taking place on the ground that contorted them into the obtuse position to what they were. Look at America for the moment. You have people who are flailing to the edges, meaning for Trump and for Sanders, wanting something distinctly and definitively different than what they had. Why do you think those people were flailing to the edges? Because they were so happy with what they had? Or do you think they were flailing to the edges because they were looking for something different, something substantially different, based on, again, environmental factors? Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain cultural things and everything else, but those things are not necessarily inherent to the person. Those things are inherent to the society. It's as if the society is trying to work itself out, creating some kind of balance. It's almost like a principle of nature of sorts. White helmets. Mainstream media doesn't cover this. They don't even bring this up. And when footage like this comes up, they give it a pass. Let's take a look at one more. I'm trying to keep this video relatively short, but there's more information. A British public relations outfit called the Syrian Campaign was hired by the influential British Syrian billionaire Ayman Ashfari to market the white helmets to the Western public. As Max Blumenthal has reported for Alternet, the White Helmet Campaign was itself the creation of a slick New York City and London-based public relations firm called Purpose. Come on. There are a lot of ads on Alternet. They're doing their best to get their 2 cents. There we go. Among the PR group's greatest achievement was fundraising for the widely celebrated Netflix documentary. This year, the makers of the film were awarded an Oscar for the best documentary short. That's awesome. Hidden soldiers of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The White Helmet operate exclusively in the armed Syrian opposition, working closely with Al-Qaeda's local affiliate, Jabhat al-Nusra, and even ISIS. The British group and ISIS hostage John Quintel inadvertently exposed the group's relationship with ISIS when he referred to the White Helmet team as the Islamic State Fire Brigade in a propaganda video he was forced to participate in. Videos and photos of the White Helmet members posing triumphantly on the corpses of Syrian soldiers and joining fighters and accosting the alleged political opponents have circulated throughout the social media. In 2015, the extremist sympathizing opposition media outlet Sarmeen posted a video featuring white helmets gleefully joining a chant with Salafi jihadist fighters in Idlib as they fire a fuselage of bullets into the air. Let's take a look. The guy with the helmet didn't look like he was chanting because he was forced to. It looked like he was chanting because he was loving it. He was feeling it. Allah Akbar, indeed. The article continues just going through the many instances where they would give this kind of BS statement as an explanation. The article ultimately is just making this argument of, look, the mainstream media ignores this, but these guys have been intertwined into ISIS, into essentially what we would consider to be terroristic activities in that region of the world, not these heroic, people who are going in purely selfless, saving babies and whatnot. They were instrumental in working with the West and trying to topple the Syrian government, which is part of the reason why they need to be evacuated, because they weren't necessarily working for the best interests. If they were, why would the public, or why would they be under threat as they are and being evacuated? So I'm not going to keep this one long, but I would say check his article out. The article is pretty good, and it gives a damn good background, and it makes a pretty decent argument with regards to what these guys actually are and the role that they were actually playing in that region of the world, even given video evidence to back it up. I've just sat here and I've watched like 4 videos of either somebody getting their head cut off, somebody being shot, 2 videos where people are being shot. That's fucking terrifying, and people are acting this way. And again, I don't necessarily think it's anything as a property of the people per se. I think it's the environment. The environment has pushed and contorted these people in ways. We have not done good things in the Middle East, and we're reaping the things that we've sown. So, yeah, here are our works. You can see them as they cut off people's heads and shoot other people in the face. That's awesome. I'll leave it here. If you enjoyed the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the Patreon. Thanks, guys.